Filmscination, so grab your popcorn and your drinks, press the subscribe button, and let's get started. And I also dress up for the month of October. Short story long, Eleanor and Claire, two female vampires, are on the run from a male-dominated, basically a brotherhood for centuries, and Claire is always protecting her daughter Eleanor ever since they were reunited. Both became vampires by going to a secret cave on an island that runs on blood once you are converted. And I will start off for as what I liked about this movie. Number one, I was intrigued by Eleanor being secretive about their lives and how she brings you along for the ride, telling you strangers who are either too far gone in life, drugs, or too old. Same goes for Clara, but she also kills if Eleanor tells the truth about them or to anyone, you know. So, and it's different type of vampire movie in which these two girls have rules on who to feed on, not like your other horror vampire movies that just kill to kill or fighting werewolves, even though they're awesome. And number two, the message it brings is very powerful, based on two female male leads throughout the whole movie. The way it ties the past and the present all together by ending in the same place where their life started, you know, centuries have passed by now. And Claire having a tough time growing up and being forced into prostitution and just having the drive to always do anything for her daughter. Not standing for no man to mistreat her ever again when she became a vampire. And she did not stand for the so-called brotherhood because no one were allowed, simply assuming they are reckless. And they're wrong, by the way. And then having the rule of Claire imposing on Eleanor for having this rule of just only that she'll die are the old and the ones destroying their lives. Even though I would throw this out there, Claire having a gentleman house kind of gives it a double standard, but for the sake of the storyline of a mother doing whatever to help her daughter, I'll just let it go. And then we have Eleanor, who just wants to speak the truth of them being vampires and the tough childhood she had growing up as well, from being in an orphanage to being raped by the man who forced Claire into prostitution. She writes her story over and over, but ends up ripping the pages either way and just throwing them onto the streets and the ocean. And she wants a better life for herself and the mom, and does not wish for her to continue with how her mother earns money by selling her body. Even if this movie is seen as a dark, artistic kind of way, it brings the movie fully around to reconnect us to the beginning where their story began. And the message is being clear about how women were treated back then, and now times have changed, you know. But still fighting for equality all around the world, either way. And number three, I enjoyed how everything was shot very cinematic. It had us focus on where we should be and how we should feel. For example, when Eleanor and the guy who ends up falling for her in a subtle way are at the beach, by the way, his name is Frank. If you look at the scene, it makes me feel very much at peace and just so intrigued in the way the mystery is being instilled. And another scene is where she's at class and the way it was set for us, only to realize, you know, at the moment she's remembering, you know, a memory. And you can see the only one that she's facing one direction while the rest are facing the other way. And it just sets her apart from the other people. Last example I like is how they have Claire leaning over the professor who just read Eleanor's story and questioning it. And Claire is just seen so much taller by giving her really high heels to look that she empowers him and can take his life in a second. Felt like they took their time really well with not only the way it was shot, but made sure the two main leads were always seen as dominant. And number four, lastly, I did enjoy how they made me a little bit tricked on questioning the very beginning of the movie, because I'm one that wants to know right away who is who and the relationship of the characters. And I love when a movie can get me right away and keep me watching. I was not able to guess out the story right away, which I can't say for all horror movies, and because in this one instance, it can take a few minutes to get the concept of it, since it does flash forward and backwards a lot. And throughout the whole movie, I could not pinpoint where the next scene was going to be, and I just kept listening to Eleanor's story. And well, I will say Sorcy, how do you say her name? I don't know. who plays Eleanor, in my opinion, is a great actress. She brings the characters alive in a calming manner, but not overdoing it. And I would say the overall story was just very different and unique as to the whole reason why I like this movie. And moving along to what I dislike is just a couple thoughts on which I question it. Okay, so here we have Eleanor is walking about where her orphanage used to be, but is now a school. And she started to cross the street without looking both ways, basically, and runs into the guy on the bike, who is Frank. And Frank ends up falling off the bike and bleeding to death with a small cut. Honestly, I rewound this part maybe 3 times, thinking maybe she cut him with her sharp vampire nails by accident as they ran into each other. And guess what? Nope. And how the fuck she cut himself? Let me know below in the comment below what you guys think. All this just made no sense. Brought me out of the movie for a bit. But I will explain. It does say that he is battling leukemia throughout the movie, and something I just can't pronounce right now, leading to the excess of blood. But yeah, it doesn't explain how he got the cut. So I'm not a doctor or anything. So I don't know. This just seemed out of proportion. And number 2, the actor who played Frank did a good job, but questionable. I did notice all characters who were vampires were on the paler side, because apparently all vampires are pale. Don't like me. This is how I was taught that they look like. But anyways, to my point, he just seemed very, over dramatic. And I feel like he was already a vampire because he was very pale and they're very secretive and stuff like that since the moment he came on screen. But he was just a human, to my knowledge, and he just wanted to be Eleanor's life and crave for her truth. And as when he found out the truth, he just found tormented, makes you a very dark side. And this actor, or character, mixed me up. It was just, I don't know, it threw me off. It could have been, maybe it was the way it was written for this character, or the actor just overdid it. And yeah, the character was dying with leukemia, and Eleanor wanting to maybe save him to make him a vampire. But I don't want to say how people react to a horrible thing, but the actor just made it seem as the character was crazy more than someone is dying. So that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to offend anyone. But anyway, those are my takes into what I liked and disliked. For the message, it's not clear for anyone to understand in a heartbeat. And the whole movie had me thinking how to write this review. And I'm not sure this one's meant to have a message. Simply, it's just about these 2 girls who have a good heart and just had challenging lives. And I'm sure we can discuss if we really want to for this movie. I prefer just to leave it as is. And just a dark story to hear how they've been able to survive all these centuries. It's a sort of poetic in a morbid way. And simply question, should I recommend it to you guys? Yes, but to the following people. Are you okay with a slow tempo movies that has a past and present story? Do you want to see different type of vampire movie that is not simply of just having a battle scene every 10 minutes? And lastly, is okay with nudity scenes or very disturbing scenes that detail rape or a couple gruesome things. And if you checked all 3, then you are right for this movie. And or simply, who cares what I think? Go ahead and watch the movie. I would say I'm not a professional critic or screenwriter. Let's agree to disagree in the comments below. And click this flashy sign. I'll see you